Hello, I'm Todd Michael Putnam, and welcome to the first episode of Creatures in Catacombs Rules in Action. In this episode, we're going to look at one aspect of the dynamic defense rules, the defensive bonus. We'll check out how it works, and then we'll look at some examples in action. Adventure's waiting, so let's get right to it. The defensive bonus is pretty straightforward to understand and really simple to use, but it adds so much drama and excitement to the play experience that as soon as most people try it, they never want to go back. In Creatures in Catacombs, or C&C, all combat is contested, meaning both the attacker and the defender roll against each other, modify those rolls with bonuses, and the higher total wins. So instead of using a static armor class where, as a player, you just passively sit there and wait to see if the DM rolls higher than it, we use a defense bonus. Your defense bonus is very simply your armor class minus 10. So if you have a 16 armor class, your defense bonus is 6. If you have an armor class of 12, your defense bonus is 2. And if you have an armor class of 21, you guessed it, you have a defense bonus of 11. Armor class itself isn't used while playing C&C except to determine your defense bonus. And the reimagined C&C character sheets have replaced the armor class label with the defensive bonus one for your convenience. When players get attacked, the DM will roll the monster's attack roll exactly the same in normal 5e, but the player will now roll a d20 and add their defense bonus to that roll. The two totals are compared and the higher number succeeds. In the case of a tie, the attacker always wins. This is statistically similar to 5e in terms of probability, however, it adds a whole lot of uncertainty and drama to the combat experience because it's possible to have either a low attack roll and still hit, or a high attack roll and still miss, depending on how well the defender rolls to defend themselves. It gives players a say in their own active defense. And this works the same way for the DM handling monsters that are being attacked by the players. The players roll their normal attack roll, and the DM will now make a defense roll plus the monster's defense bonus to compare against the attacker's roll total. One more quick point, and we'll go through an example. Defenders roll their defense roll against each attacker that round, but not necessarily against each attack. What does that mean? It means if a monster gets 2 or more attacks per round, the player will still only make one defense roll to compare against both of those attacks since they both came from the same attacker. But if a second monster were to make an attack against that same player, they would make a new defense roll against the new monster's attacks. Let's see some examples of this in action. Malric the Mage is a 3rd level wizard. He has wisely cast mage armor on himself, which gives him a base armor class of 13, and he has a dexterity of 16, adding 3 to his armor class for a total armor class of 16. This gives him a defense bonus of 16 minus 10 equals 6. So he has written 6 on his character sheet under defense bonus. Malric has gotten separated from his party in some dangerous caves they are exploring. His eyes are drawn to what looks like a treasure chest, partially obscured by some stalagmites on the floor of the cavern, and he moves over to investigate it. But it's an ambush. 2 goblins skulking nearby leap out from their hiding places and attack the startled young wizard. Goblin number 1 and goblin number 2. The first goblin rushes Malric and swings his rusty but dangerous short sword at him. And Malric makes his defensive roll on a d20. He gets a 6 on the dice. He then adds his plus 6 defense to the bonus for a total of 12. Malric is indeed startled and realizes his defenses against this ambush attack are very poor. Seeing 2 goblins and sensing the danger he is in all alone, he decides to use his reaction to cast Shield, adding another plus 5 to his defense roll total, for a new total of from 12 to 17. The goblin's attack bonus is plus 4, so the DM rolls the goblin's attack and gets a 7 on the die, adding its attack bonus of plus 4 for a total of 11. The goblin's sword attack misses. But this goblin isn't finished yet. He has a nasty little shiv in his offhand, and he uses his bonus action to make an offhand attack with it, trying to jam it into the young wizard's ribs. The goblin makes a new attack roll, but swings wildly with a total of 7. Because this second attack came from the same attacker, Malric does not make a new defense roll. The same defense roll total that he used against the goblin's first attack, which was a 17, is what he compares against this new attack. 17 is much higher than 7, and the goblin's offhand attack with a shiv also misses the wizard. Now, the second goblin, slightly more crafty than his brethren, has pulled out a bow and fires an arrow at Malric, preferring to keep distance in case the other adventurers are close by. Because this arrow is from a different attacker this round, Malric makes a new defense roll against this new attack. He rolls a d20 and gets an 11 on the dice, adding his +6 defense bonus and his +5 shield bonus for a total defense roll of 22. The goblin lets fly his arrow and makes an attack roll of 17, adding his +4 attack bonus for a total of 21. Almost one higher and it would have hit, but instead the arrow bounces harmlessly off Malric's magic shield and mere inches from his neck, sparing him from injury. So notice what happened here. Malric got a defense roll against each of the two goblins. His first defense roll was compared against both of the attacks from the first goblin, both the sword and the shiv attack. When the second goblin fired an arrow, though, Malric made a new defense roll against this new attacker. So a quick recap. The defense bonus is the armor class -10. A defense roll is made against each new attacker for that round. You compare the attack and defense roll totals, and the higher total wins. If the attack roll total and the defense roll total are tied, it's a hit. There are some cool CNC rules for Nat 1s and Nat 20s, but that's for another episode. And that's going to wrap up this edition of the Creatures and Catacombs Rules in Action. We'll see you in the next episode, or if you're ready to see all the ways that CNC makes adventuring more exciting, you can go to dmsguild.com and search for Creatures and Catacombs using the ampersand sign, not the word and, Creatures, ampersand, Catacombs, and you can download the entire Creatures and Catacombs 5e homebrew rule set absolutely free. Thanks for watching, and may all your adventures be epic.